Live every day by remembering that one of those people that no longer made it home paid the ultimate sacrifice so that you could be. So live in their name, love in their name, lead in their name, because now we are here. This is not about sadness. This is about living together. This is about understanding that we are still here for a reason, for them, for the ones who did not make it home.
Welcome to the VetRise podcast. I'm your host, Juan Perez. My goal is to make success after service accessible to every veteran in society. I believe in the power of leveraging your service, not as a label that defines you, but as a launching pad for your next chapter. What we have been doing has not been working, and it's on us to start changing the culture. Enjoy the episode, and thank you for your time.
I'm a Marine Corps veteran, a scout sniper, and a former Chicago police officer here in this great city of Chicago. I'm a father of two, and they're actually with me here today. Hi, Oliver. Hi, Luna. I'm the host of the VetRise podcast, and I started VetRise Academy years ago. I'm a man who's buried teammates, men that I trained with, men that I served with, men that I trusted, men that I would give my life for. And I've gone to too many funerals. And to this day, I still dread when the phone rings, especially when it's someone that I served with. Because now instead of hearing the blast or feeling the ground shake beneath you, it comes in silence. Now it's a message, a call, or a post on social media. And when you see the name, you already know. Back then, we would know when it happened. We were there, we saw it, we heard it. Now it's different. Now it hits differently, and we find out differently. And somehow, that hurts even more. Today is not about trying to make you feel guilt or sadness about those that are no longer with us. It's about remembering them with love, with pride, with the kind of joy that says, we have not forgotten you. It's about honoring them the right way. It's about keeping their names alive so they never disappear into the noise. Because they deserve more than just silence. They deserve our remembrance, our action, and our devotion. This day, this weekend, is about truth. Hard, uncomfortable truth. Because Memorial Day is not just a ceremony, it's not just a long weekend, it's not a chance to enjoy the summer months. It's a moment to stop and remember what all this is really for. Politics aside, emotions at the forefront, reality. And listen, it doesn't mean you can't enjoy the weekend. It doesn't mean you should feel bad if you're with family this weekend. If you're laughing, if you're grilling, that's what you should be doing, enjoying life. But it does mean we need to understand why we even have the freedom to do those things. It came at a cost. And that someone somewhere paid that on our behalf. It is a declaration that we will not forget their names, no matter how much time passes. That we will remember what it cost in blood, in sacrifice, and in silence. And it's also about removing that line in the sand that we have drawn throughout all these years. The one that separates our veterans from the rest of the country. The one that says, that is their world, not mine. Because that's not true. In fact, it's never been true. Memorial Day is a day to remember that. To remember the cost of our freedom, to face what it really means to be part of this country. And it's not just about those we lost overseas. It's about those who came home and then didn't make it much further. It's about those who came home in body but not in spirit. The ones who didn't get the support they needed. The ones who fought silently until they couldn't fight anymore. This is all about them. And this is about what we're going to be doing about it. Let me take you back. Summer of 2010, I was 20 years old. We had just pushed south into Safar Bazaar. Mud compounds, heat, tension so thick it would settle on your shoulders and you felt like you had the weight of the world on you. But you also felt free of all of the chaos of the rest of the world because all that mattered then in the moment was a guy to the left and to the right of you. I remember how nothing else in the world really mattered in that moment besides the men in my squad, the Marines in my company. That was the only world that existed for me at that moment. And honestly, we needed that. We needed to feel like the only thing that mattered in the moment was getting home alive. During that deployment, my point man got hit during one of our foot patrols. I remember the blast. I remember the screaming. I remember dropping to the dirt and putting 2 tourniquets on Colin, 1 on each leg, while the rest of my team moved into action. My squad leader was calling the 9 line. Our radio operator was making sure the medevac was on the way. I remember our corpsman moving up as fast as possible to work on him without hesitation. Colin was in shock, but he was still cracking jokes because that's the type of person he was. We leaned on humor in the moment because that's all we had. It was instinct, training, brotherhood, survival. We dragged them out, we secured the area, we waited for the medevac, and we moved on. But I want to be clear about something. This is not the memory that keeps me awake at night. This is not the one that would jolt me awake in the darkness when I was wondering, what was it all for? That moment changed all of us. But thankfully, Colin lived. And I'm proud to say that he is still here, still living his life. He's actually about to welcome his first newborn baby into this world. But also with us that day was Chris Clark, one of my team leaders. Calm under pressure. He was one of my seniors, but he was not that much older than me because he joined as soon as he had the chance to. He made the right call in that moment, and he always did. We'll come back to Chris in a minute. A short time later, another blast site had to be cleared. Same area, different day. EOD was called in to assess. And that's when we lost Marine Gunner Sergeant Floyd C. Hawley. He was 36 years old, an explosives ordnance disposal technician out there keeping all of us safe, doing the job that most people wouldn't even dare try. He died on August 29, 2010 in Helmand Province, Afghanistan. He had a son. He had a daughter. And they will grow up without a father. That's the weight I carry with me every single day. Because as I mentioned, my kids are here with me today watching this, and they get to see their father speak. They get to hear my voice. Because men like Gunny Hawley made that possible. I used to carry that guilt with me every day, about all of it. I used to replay every move, every second, wondering if I could have changed something. But I've come to learn guilt does not honor the fallen. Living with purpose does. Living with gratitude. Waking up every day and reminding myself, you are still breathing, you are still here. You still have work to do. You get to see the sun, you get to hear your kids laugh, you get to love the people around you. And that is a gift that we get because of people who made the ultimate sacrifice. And we cannot waste it. Let me tell you what happened after I left the Marines. People think you come home and you plug back into society. They think because we understood how we operate in the military, we should just automatically know how to operate in the civilian world. But here's the truth. Most veterans don't come back into society. They never were really a part of it. Most of us joined at 18. We never learned how to apply for a real job. We never filled out a college application. We never got to know the culture we were going to return to. And when we come back, it's like we are dropped into a system we don't recognize, a place that doesn't speak our language. That's why it's so hard for veterans when they come back. It's not that society has changed. It's that we were never really a part of it to begin with. So when you get out, you lose the mission. You lose the tribe. You lose the adrenaline. You lose even the chaos that somehow in the moment made sense. And now you start to try and chase it again. Because deep down you believe that maybe that's the only way you can feel alive. Maybe that's the only way you can truly find your place in this world. You lose the ownership you never even realized that you had. Because for most of us, we were trained to follow orders really damn well. And if you didn't, you would learn fast. We learned not to ask questions, but to figure it out because we were expected to, and it was needed. We learned to lead ourselves, but we did that by listening from the people that would lead us. And we learned not to put ourselves first because the mission had to come first. And when all of that structure disappears, some of us just drift. We forget that we can still lead. We forget that we are allowed to. The word discipline gets thrown around a lot. Like it's a switch that you're supposed to just turn on and off. But in my opinion, veterans are not struggling with discipline. We are struggling with devotion. Devotion to ourselves, to our future. Because no one ever gave us permission to stop surviving and start becoming our new version. I want to share another story with you. A story most veterans will not talk about because it comes with a lot of guilt. Because it brings up questions we don't always have the answers to. And on one of those days when I was just trying to hold it together, I had just come back from an interview. I was wearing a suit that felt like a just weird combination of clothes that I hadn't worn ever in my entire life. And I looked sharp, sure. I said all the right things during the interview. And I played the part. But when I left the interview, I sat in my car and I realized that I felt like a complete fraud because I didn't know who I was. And I felt like at the end of the day, I was just playing this part. And I still felt more alone than I ever felt in my entire life. And I knew that come Monday, I would not go back to my platoon, to my squad, to just being with the boys. But I would go back into a world where I felt more alone than ever. I had no idea who I really was, and truthfully, no one really did either at the time. I had spent so long camouflaging, adapting, reading the room, trying to fit into a world I didn't feel like I belonged in, that I forgot what it felt to just be me again. And during this interview, they didn't ask me about what I did in war. They didn't ask what it was like to be in combat. And even though I didn't expect them to, part of me wanted to tell them, because up until that point, it felt like the most important part of my life. Since then, I've learned it is not the whole story. It is just a part of what you've been through. But in that moment, it felt like it was all that I knew. And I have realized that understanding who you are as a veteran doesn't end the day that you get out. It doesn't even begin the day you realize you need to change. That is just the start of the reset. Years later, I was finally home when I felt like finally I had found some peace. I felt like I belonged because I was in law enforcement. I felt like I was surrounded with people that understood me. But still, I was hiding. And on one of those nights where the silence feels louder than the noise, I was sitting on the floor after a night of drinking, back against the wall, stuck in my own mind. And my son walked in. And he looked at me and he said, "Hi, Daddy. Are you okay?" And in that moment, I knew that I had to start making a permanent change in my life. It could not just be a temporary Band-Aid. Because when we heal, unless we understand that we have to make a permanent change, we will resort back to what we know. And in that moment, everything shifted for me, and I remembered that I am still here, I am still alive because of men like Gunny Hawley, because of men who never came home, because of men who did and still lost themselves in the process. I am still needed. And there are thousands of warriors who never got that moment, who lost the war after they came home. Some of them have kids too. Kids who will never get to say, "Hi, Daddy." So let me take you back to that day in Afghanistan that I mentioned earlier. When Colin got hit, when we were able to finally hold that perimeter and get him out, Chris Clark was there. He was the reason we held the line and were able to actually fight the enemy combatants to get the medevac out. He was calm. He was a leader. But we lost Chris, too. Chris came home. And on one unfortunate, sad night, he also made this decision that he thought he couldn't be here anymore. I think about him all the time. I wish he could see what we are doing now. I wish he knew the leadership that still lives in me. That's the thing about this war. It doesn't just end when we come home. And I believe it can be addressed when we start taking ownership of the place that we actually have in this world. When we stop seeing ourselves as outsiders and we start believing that we belong in this world too. During my 10 years that I served here as a Chicago police officer, I had countless opportunities to actually respond to different calls for service where I had the pleasure of meeting veterans where they were at in a dark moment. And I had the chance to help them out of that moment, to show them a little bit of light. One instance, I had a Marine or he knew what it was like to be in a dark place, and we're able to guide him out by having a conversation with him. And I'm telling you right now, the solution to all of this is not complicated. It is purpose. It is finding your mission again. And for civilians, this is your mission too. We cannot keep drawing that line in the sand. This is not two different worlds. This is one team, one fight. You do not have to understand what we've seen, and you never will. And to be honest with you, you're not supposed to. That's why we raised our right hands to keep that darkness away from home. But you can still see us. You can still talk to us. You can still give us purpose. You can invite us to lead again, to give us space to heal with you in society. And for the veterans, you didn't survive just to sit on the sidelines. You are not broken. You are not your past. You are at your prime, whether you know it or not. You have more to give. Take ownership over where you are at. Don't let your past define you. Do not let the uniform be the last thing people remember about you. I know you feel like you might be an outsider in this world, but I promise you, you belong here. You are a part of it. You earned your place in it. Now I want you to lead. Live every day by remembering that one of those people that no longer made it home paid the ultimate sacrifice so that you could be. So live in their name. Love in their name. Lead in their name. Because now we are here, and we are a part of this world. So today I want you to do one thing. I want you to ask yourself, am I living in a way that honors them? Am I remembering them the right way? This is not about sadness. This is about living together. This is about understanding that we are still here for a reason, for them, for the ones who did not make it home, all the people that kept fighting the fight at home just so we could still live here. So I'm going to ask all of you to, at this point, if you served in the military, please raise your hands, put them high in the sky, and keep them up. If you have a loved one that served in the military, please raise your hands, keep them up. If you know someone that served in the military, your neighbor, your friend, someone at work, please raise your hands and keep them up. Now I want you to look around. I want you to realize that almost everyone here has their hands up. We are in this together. We all have a part to do in this. Thank you. Put your hands down, please. So keep living with discipline. Keep remembering their names. Live with devotion. Live like it matters, because it does. For Gunny Hawley, for Chris Clark, for every name that we hold in silence, to the fallen, we remember. To the living, we rise. Thank you. And I will leave you with this. If you are still here, there is a reason for that. You still have work to do. And we still need you in this world. That's not just a phrase that you have to listen to today. It's something you have to live by every day. Because this is how we remember the fallen. Whether it was in some far-off country or back here at home. This is how we remember them. Thank you for your time.
And that brings us to the end of another episode of the VetRise podcast. If today's episode inspired you, made you think, or simply gave you hope, I have a small favor to ask. Share it with just one veteran or someone you think could benefit from my message. Your share could light a spark for them. You don't know who you might save. For more insights and to join our mission, follow my socials at JP the Veteran Coach and explore how we can rise together. Thank you for joining us, for being part of this journey, and for believing in the power of rising together. Until next time, keep pushing forward, keep rising, and never forget that we are stronger together. My name is Juan Perez, and thank you for your time.